really try to avoid controversial stuff on this show, because it seems like 90% of the time the controversy's got nothing to do with the music, so therefore it doesn't hold my attention. But I'm sorry, man, this time I gotta fucking say it. Let me ask you a question. Can you, within 3 seconds, name me one band that comes to mind, excluding Kiss, because I'm not touching that one. Gene and Paul are gods to me. But can you name me one band within 2 seconds that you know that uses, quote, backing tracks live? If you can't come up with one like that, could the reason possibly be because you don't care if somebody does or doesn't? Again, I'm not talking about lip syncing, because I hear that argument. But even that, other than literally like 1 or 2 instances, who can you name that you know lip syncs? Alright, off lip syncing and back to the backing tracks. And I promise you I'm gonna call out the source of my bitch here in a second, because it is coming from one origin. But time and time again, we're hearing about these fucking backing tracks. And to get something else out of the way real quick, it seems like the issue mostly tries to target, quote, legacy bands. And I do use that word legacy in a sound manner, because goddamn it, as far as I'm concerned, those bands earn the right to be labeled as such. But if I know my audience, you, the way I think I do, most here seem to listen to mainly slightly more underground heavy metal, thrash, doom, sludge, maybe a limited amount of older legacy death metal and black metal. But regardless, you still gotta put up with the bullshit backing track topic in the news. If you follow any metal news, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm getting closer to naming the source, just bear with me for a second. As long as we can delineate the difference between lip syncing and backing tracks, let's use a practical example or two, and we won't even limit them to legacy bands. Are you supposed to get mad at Shagrath from Dimmu Borgir because he's got Kim Goss playing a keyboard or using a loop or something that's got an orchestral sound? That's a funny example, because I don't think Kim Goss has been in Dimmu Borgir in years. But am I supposed to be mad at Glenn Danzig because he plays Overture of the Rebel Angels while walking out on stage? Hey, that's a pre-recorded track. Or am I supposed to be let down that GNR uses Dizzy or Melissa Reese to make sure the orchestral parts in November Rain are there instead of bringing the actual orchestra from the video on the road with them? I doubt very seriously that anybody watching right now gets pissed off about that stuff. But okay, if you're cool with it, according to the source of all this, somebody's gotta have a problem with it, right? Fine, think about the last Dimmu show you went to, or Flesh God Apocalypse, or Cradle of Filth, or hell, Trans-Siberian during Christmas. Did you see anybody to the left or to the right of you walk out all pissed off because of the presence of backing tracks? I doubt it, and if so, I'll cut my hair. So if nobody's actually pissed about any of this stuff, why is it even being discussed, and by who? Here's the call out. It's the fucking journalists, man, and I suppose other voices in metal media, whether it's on-site reporters or whoever, and they do it because they know it's gonna get them clicks, and from there, the ad impressions and comments and all kinds of quick, cheap action that makes them money. You can always tell that's the case when they ask somebody who shouldn't even be a target in the first place. Like they're young, and it's not somebody like, say, you know, Dickinson, who's maybe starting to get up there in age, who you could see wanting to rely on some kind of assistance. Like just today, I read something somewhere where the interviewer asked this young girl from some band, like, what's her opinion? Like, what the fuck would she need to think about such a thing like that, you know? And the goal for the interviewer underneath it all, it's always the same. It's to try and trap somebody into admitting that their band uses backing tracks of some sort. Like when I read the stuff that those journalists are peddling, I honestly can't help but wonder, do they even like heavy metal, or are they just in it to profit off the backs of the musicians at their and your expense? I mean, if it's the later, there's sure as shit a lot more money to be made by stirring up stuff in other areas like humanities or culture or politics or something. And look, man, I'm not even condemning the livelihood of the purveyors behind it all, because at the end of the day, they're just trying to make a living and do a job like anybody else. But my question to them is, don't you want to have a little integrity, man? Like if you love heavy metal so much to the point where if you're not a musician but you still want to be a contributor to it, to the point where you have a news site or do interviews or something, wouldn't you want to earn the trust or have an amicable relationship with the artist? You know, the people who without them you wouldn't be doing what you're doing? Hell, I'll use myself as an example. I could have easily asked Todd Strange or Kenny Hickey what their opinion on backing tracks were. First off, that would have been a stupid question, because how's it relevant to them? I Am, Down, Crowbar, they're all pretty bare bones, so they'd never be under a microscope anyway. But they probably would have been polite and given a response, and then what could have happened? I then could have gone to any of the big news sites and been like, look what Todd and Kenny said about backing tracks, even if it weren't a saucy response. Then they would have printed it, people would have clicked or viewed, and then there's the ad impressions, and it's money in their pockets. Who then suffers? You do. You do, because you read a response from somebody you're interested in that you probably could have already guessed what it was on your own, and there's time out of your life wasted on bullshit. Or alternatively, I could have titled the video something like, look what the guys from I Am said about other bands that use backing tracks, and wasted time in your life, all while collecting on the ad revenue. I'm sorry, but fuck that shit, man. As a fan of the band and heavy metal, I would have way rather asked them a question like, what was it like recording music for the first time together, given that you guys were all fans of each other's bands? And I did. And I think the viewer would have appreciated that way more, and the artist, because it's their time to talk about themselves and their music. Look, I've said it before many times on this show, I got zero problem with slugfests and shit talk. It's not actually Pantera, and if you think it is, you're a fucking idiot. Kiss broke up in 1980 or 2002. But what I do hate is when the catalyst for the shit talk gets it started over a subject that's a non-issue anyway. Nobody in real life is complaining about this. Hell, people at live shows probably don't even notice that there's some kind of synth or bells in the background or something. My major point here is that backing tracks have been a thing since the 80s, probably even the 70s. All of us already know that every time we hear that flangey noise thing before Turbo Lover, that's a backing track. Or that kind of stalkery sounding keyboard before Love Bites, Def Leppard, same thing. But some real clever individual discovered that there was money to be made with this whole topic, and I'm sorry, man, I just don't think they love heavy metal. God bless them, I ain't gonna knock nobody's hustle, but where's your fucking integrity, man? To me, heavy metal means so much, and it probably does to you too, that I ain't ever about trying to advance myself to somewhere off the people and the music that have already given me so much in my life. The music, the concerts, the videos, you know what I'm talking about, the t-shirts. Hell, you want to talk about t-shirts, this one right here. These guys, if you like old school thrash with a Lemmy sounding singer, Imminent Terror from Chicago, I'll link them in the description. Instead, Concrete spews a celebration to honor and pay respect to these gods and legends and warriors out there who've been grinding that axe for a long time and those just about to pick one up. Check out this picture for a second. I fucking love this, and let me explain why. This is from a press conference before Ozfest 2004. Take a look who's here. Kerry King, Ozzy, KK, Rob, and Glenn. And to the left of Glenn, Zach and Phil. Now I'm gonna exclude Zach because he's been with Ozzy since '87, but take a look at Anselmo for a second. Maybe I could be reading this a little different than the reality of it, but my perception is Phil was doing Superjoint Ritual on that tour, and God knows Pantera and Down had already made a major impact in heavy metal at that point, but they weren't yet gods like Ozzy, Slayer, and Priest. Yet there's Phil, and what's probably going through his head is something like, I am here to help honor these dudes who made me what I am, and I feel damn grateful to be included on this same stage right now. And I think Jamie Hatebreed was also there too that day, just like out of view of the camera, and the chick from Lacuna Coil, but I'm sure they were probably also feeling the same way Phil was. So yeah, the backing track discussion, pure ass fucking clickbait, man. Clickbait's got its place in the world, but sometimes it's just so bad that it's like, get the fuck out of here, man, and put down the Taylor or Yachty records that I know you love, and pick up Invincible Shield or Graveside Grin. You probably don't even like heavy metal. So yeah, man, there you go. I feel bad talking all this shit, because I do genuinely try to be a nice person to literally everybody, and on this show, as far as music goes, I simply do not trash anybody's music. Like, even if I don't like it, I still admire the artist for their output, period. So they got my respect as far as that goes. But alright, man, if you got any opinion on it, say whatever the hell you want. I love it all. And if you liked this video, cool, maybe you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you just like hearing somebody bullshit about heavy metal, that subscribe button's right down below. We'll see you next time on Concrete Spew, but until then, check out Imminent Terror and stay strong, my friends.